The much anticipated spring storm is moving in. Taking a live look at Denver's skyline tonight. You probably wouldn't see it there. We haven't really seen much rain in the metro area yet, but the system has already dropped some snow in the high country, and there's a lot more on the way. A lot more, Kyle. It's coming.
We didn't show it in those pictures, though.
It's coming.
Yeah.
That's called anticipation. Good evening. I'm Kim Christensen.
I'm Kyle Clark. So most of this weathering apparently is going to happen tomorrow because it hasn't happened yet. Let's bring in Kathy Sabin for a look ahead.
We've had snow off and on in the high country all afternoon with light accumulation, and the heaviest showers have been south of Denver, but that will all be changing in a matter of hours as the storm system spinning to the west and south is beginning to pump some water up into Colorado that will come in the form of heavy snow tomorrow and heavy rain for Denver. Temperatures have cooled back to the mid 40s and low 50s along the Front Range. These current numbers might be our high temperatures for tomorrow. A chilly day coming up, and the wind is still pretty ferocious out of the south and east in areas like Parker, Highlands Ranch, Kiowa, Elizabeth. This all part of this storm system churning over the Four Corners area, kind of chugging east over southern Colorado, bringing that water up. We've had some decent snow in the southern mountains and foothills, some showers that have been heavy at times south of Castle Rock and north of Fort Collins, but this moisture will be filling into the city by the time you wake up tomorrow. Some of the estimates are 1 to 2 inches of rain for Denver, but the big story is 1 to 2 feet of snow in the mountains with the winter storm warning that starts tomorrow morning. Occasional shower possible, but really after a lull in the action overnight, the main event comes in during the drive time tomorrow. Heavy rain continues all day. Heavy foothill mountain snow will continue all day, and temperatures are just going to trend cool. We're in the low 50s now, staying in the 40s for the next 12 to 24 hours. Weather headlines include the spring storm moving in tonight, heavy metro area rain tomorrow, and all snow in the mountains. We'll have the timing and impact of this latest storm coming up.
With that spring storm on the way, experts are worried about localized flooding, especially for people who live near floodplains.
9 News reporter Rachel Krause is out in the wild tonight in Denver. Rachel, got a little bit of rain today. Main event, Kathy says, is on the way.
Yeah, guys, this kind of rain in May is, well, pretty typical. Experts say, though, for folks living on flatlands near the water, this storm could end up bringing some flooding.
So it's going to be an interesting, exciting event coming up the next 2 days.
Denver is getting ready for a really good rain, a 1 to 3 inch soaker between Tuesday and Wednesday.
This is actually really normal in the month of May. May is our wettest month on average with over 2 inches of rain typically, all of which we could see in the next 24 to 48 hours.
9 News Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin says the moisture is needed, but so much water so fast could cause trouble.
This storm is welcome, but Colorado is made up, a large part of the state is floodplains. It's kind of a flat area of ground, like the Eastern Plains, but it's near a body of water, like a stream or river, sometimes even a lake. And the reason that's a big deal is people are living now and building, and we have, suburbia growing out onto these floodplains.
It is very significant, especially in very urbanized areas and very steep slopes that can funnel that rainfall quite quickly into severe locations and cause some definite problems.
Bruce Rendall with Mile High Flood District says they'll keep a close eye to see where this rain falls and what damage it may do.
We will watch for them. If we get the high end, we will start looking for higher flows. As I said, some areas may be prone to flooding with a much smaller event, small culverts, bike paths, etc. And they can be flooded and overtopped with not too much rain.
While this rain may put a dark cloud over sunny May plans, it could be worse.
I think it's a lot better than shoveling 20 inches of snow, but that's just me.
Now, if you do see floodwater, don't be the person who says, I can drive or I can walk through that. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Reporting live in Denver, Rachel Krause, 9 News.
And don't forget, you can stay on top of the weather forecast with our 9 News app. It is free to download in the Apple and Google Play stores.
President Donald Trump is demanding the state of Colorado release a prisoner. Tina Peters, the former election clerk serving a 9-year sentence for tampering with voting systems in Trump's name. Trump says he's directing his Department of Justice to take, quote unquote, all necessary action to free Peters, who he called a hostage. Trump says her prosecution was a, quote, communist persecution by the radical left Democrats to cover up their election crimes. Peters was the elected Republican clerk and recorder in Mesa County. She was prosecuted by a Republican DA after she snuck a hacker into voting systems in an attempt to prove Trump's election rigging lies. Trump cannot pardon Peters himself because she was convicted on state charges. Some Republicans have called for Trump to pull Colorado's federal funding to try and blackmail Democratic Governor Jared Polis into pardoning Peters. Polis says he won't do it. Denver is abandoning its automated license plate cameras over privacy concerns. The federal immigration agents could use them for deportations.
9 News reporter Spencer Soisher was in today's City Council meeting. And Spencer, they unanimously voted this down.
They did. There are 111 cameras at about 70 intersections across the city. Denver police say it's helped them solve a bunch of cases and recover hundreds of stolen vehicles. Still, the Denver City Council thinks the risk outweighs the reward here.
12 nays, Council Resolution 25-0413 has failed.
This outcome at City Council may not have been on everyone's radar. A unanimous vote, 12-0, to not extend the city's contract with the company Flock to operate automated license plate reading cameras.
And those cameras are silently taking an image of every single car that drives by.
Denver police say over the last year, these cameras have helped solve crimes and reduce auto thefts. The pictures they take go into a database, which can be accessed by hundreds of officers at dozens of law enforcement agencies across Colorado.
One of the agencies that has full access to our database and the 30 days of images contained within it is the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, which we know has just reaffirmed its commitment to actively working with ICE agents.
City Council member Sarah Parody led the pushback against the contract extension.
This kind of surveillance technology is a gift if you have that kind of ill intent, and the federal government has that ill intent right now.
Immigration agents don't have access to the database, but City Council members worry they could find ways to get their hands on the data.
I think since maybe January 20th of this year, those concerns are greatly heightened and have a new reality about them.
The mayor also went against the police department, switching his position to a no after hearing community concerns. Now these cameras could be on their way out.
Unless we think that governments and large tech companies are 100% trustworthy all of the time, mass surveillance is very concerning.
The mayor's office told me today that the city has enough funding left in its initial contract with Flock to keep the cameras rolling until about the end of the year. What happens next after that, we'll see. Perhaps another company could approach Denver to try to secure a contract. Live in Denver, Spencer Soisher, 9 News.
New tonight, the Aurora City Council is putting new restrictions on public comment at their meetings. Tonight, they passed a resolution only allowing one person at a time at the podium. The exceptions are for a child, someone who needs an interpreter, or someone who has a physical disability. The resolution follows months of protests at City Council meetings by people upset over the death of Kylan Lewis at the hands of Aurora police.
There is no reason whatsoever that the people in our community should not be able to show each other support in the same way that elected officials choose to do.
But it is a safety issue because although we have police officers in the chamber, they're now having to watch 10, 15, 20 people at the podium versus the one person and watching the audience.
The City Council also passed a resolution scrapping a notice of 24 hours for council members who appear virtually. Those resolutions passed by a vote of 6-4.
The cities of Denver and Aurora are headed to trial against each other at the end of the summer. They're fighting over who has to pay for police misconduct lawsuits stemming from the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests. When those protests started, Denver called Aurora for help. Aurora sent police officers and an emergency response team. In the coming years, officers from both Denver and Aurora faced lawsuits of police misconduct. Aurora says it thought Denver was going to pick up the tab for legal fees, settlements, and payouts. Denver says no.
The key factual issue in this case is whether the Aurora officers were under the supervision and control of Denver officers or Aurora Command, and what policies were followed, those of the Denver Police Department or those of Aurora.
Court filings show the cities are not close to a settlement to avoid that trial.
Denver Public Schools leadership is going after each other again. Superintendent Alex Marrero has asked the board to censure Director John Youngquist, who calls this a personal attack. Marrero requested the censure in an email to the school board president, accusing Youngquist of creating a toxic work environment, undermining DPS leaders, and showing racial insensitivity. This isn't the first time the board has expressed frustration with Youngquist. Back in January, they publicly reprimanded him after he accused the board of operating in secret. He was also at odds with the superintendent over Marrero's contract, which the board voted to extend last week.
You know, that kind of timing makes people, I think probably makes people wonder what motivations are. And I don't know what those motivations are, but it's concerning to me as well.
The email to the school board was dated April 22nd, before the vote to extend Marrero's contract as superintendent. Youngquist voted against that extension, but said tonight he supports the board's decision to retain Marrero.
The latest effort by Colorado's Democrats to challenge TABOR, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, is not going to make it through the legislature this year. TABOR restricts government spending in our state. It requires refunds when the state collects more revenue than is allowed under the law. It also requires a vote on all tax increases. Democratic legislators blame TABOR for the $1 billion budget cuts that were made this year because of the limitation on how much the state can keep and spend. The effort by Democrats to have the state file a lawsuit to challenge TABOR's constitutionality didn't get the necessary votes to be able to pass the legislature in time for Wednesday's final day.